Welcome to Pivot Talks with PC. My name is Pauline Caballero, and we're talking change. It isn't coming, it's here. Hey, you guys, welcome to Pivot Talks with PC. I'm Pauline Caballero, and we're spending the time every week speaking to different entrepreneurs, individuals that have really made change in their life. And as I've shared with you week over week, change isn't coming, it's here. And we were hit with that, back in March here in Canada with the surge of COVID-19. And I'm really actually proud and inspired to share with you my guest for today, and that's my husband, Gerard Caballero. Thanks for joining us, babe.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So for those of you that don't know, Gerard and I have been married for 16 minus 1 years. And, we always include that year there because it's the year where we were actually separated. I moved out of my house. I had made a choice that I was really looking for something different in my life. I really wanted to be positive, and I love you, babe, but back then you were quite negative.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So we've been married for 16 minus 1. Gerard is a plumber. He is a killer dad. We have 2 sons, a 15-year-old and a 7-year-old at the time of this recording. But one of the reasons why, babe, I wanted to ask you to join is because in March, you made a very pivotal decision. You chose to stay home and take care of the family in the midst of the confusion of COVID-19. So I was hoping maybe you could just start off by telling us a little bit about, why you made that decision and how you came about making that decision.
Right. So, first off, the right answer is I made that decision because my wife told me to. The real answer is, it was a confusing time for everybody, for the family, for everyone out and about, and our family was, we're well rooted, but it just felt like the smart decision to stay home and give that little bit of grounding to the kids, and it allowed you to continue your work as well. So it wasn't a hard decision. It was just a matter of, deciding it was doable and then sticking with it.
Got it. And what have you started to discover, in that grounding and really being for your family? What have you been discovering for yourself over the last 6 months?
It's in the day-to-day grind of, working and, running your kids to their practices and their hockey games and et cetera, you think that you're spending a lot of time with your children, but really, truthfully, sometimes you can be almost like their Uber driver. And when I was home with the kids on an everyday basis, then there's a lot more communication, and it's different. It's not forced. You're not trying to squeeze stuff out of your kids in that 20 minutes that you have them in the car or whatever the case may be. And I just got to recognize how my kids were and how they react to things. And it was just, it really expanded the relationship that I already have with them, but it helped me just to see them in a different light.
Yeah, I know. I really got that from who you are with the kids. Even this morning, my husband was out in the pool with the boys, and you've really become that place, that central place. And I know that's not easy because I know that also takes some sacrifices on your end. So what are you feeling that you're missing out on? And don't say sex because you've gotten plenty of that.
Actually, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Let's just note at the time of this recording, I also went for a run this morning. I'll throw that in there in case it never happens
Fair.
Again.
Noted.
But I don't know if missing is the right word. I don't feel like I'm missing anything for myself personally. There is a little bit of, I'll be honest, kind of like a lack of purpose from a work perspective, just because I haven't, when you get in that grind of getting up every day at 5 and shuffling off to work, it's sometimes it's not so much purpose as it's just, it's routine. And, when that changes, you kind of question, you question everything. Right? Do I like my job? Do I want to get back up at 5 o'clock in the morning, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that part of my life is a little bit missing, but I mean, as far as anything else, I think it's more fulfilled than anything since I pivoted to stay home and to not go to work. And I think I've realized that you can get more out of life than just that paycheck. And I think spending time with my family was better. It was completely worth it. And, financially it was okay. It was the right move at the right time.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I feel so fortunate. You and I have obviously had our troubles, and there'll be a time and place for us to really dive in nice and deep and share sort of the journey through our marriage. But I feel so blessed and so just so much gratitude for who you've been for us during this whole lockdown. I know it could have gone one way or the other. And for us, I really feel like it brought us closer together. Why? Why do you think that ever happened?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't want to say that's a tough question, but why did that happen? I don't think it was a why. I think it was just a matter of it was a when. It just, it was going to happen, and it was just forced to happen, and it fit. I'm a strong believer of everything happens for a reason, and this was that time. Our kids are at a pivotal age. Noah's is growing into a man. He's 15 going on 21. So you're not going to get those times to stay home with your kids and to see them get up in the morning and have breakfast with them and do that stuff. And so it was the right time to do it, because I don't know if I'll get that opportunity again. And when my kids are 19 or 20 and they want to get up at 10:30 in the morning and have their dad make them breakfast, it might not be the right time. So now was that moment for us. And I think that was really the why of how it worked. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I know it's perfect. I mean, the one thing here is like right now we're preparing, and then the common thing on everyone's mind is to send your kids back to school or not to send your kids back to school. And collectively we've made the decision for you to head back to work. And whether it's the right decision or wrong decision, I guess we really have no idea. But how are you feeling about that all?
About the decision to go back to work?
Yeah, and sending the kids back to school, like, what do you think about it?
I think the kids are ready to go back to school. I think no matter how this pandemic thing plays out, life goes on. Life must go on, right? We can't we can't hunker down and hide the whole time. We've got to get out there and face the world eventually. And I think the kids are ready for that. And I think as far as going back to work, I'll be honest with anybody listening to this podcast. I've done my job for 20 years. I don't really love it. Never really loved it. I was just sort of good at it. And so it's good because I'm going to go back to work, and it's going to give me that routine. And it's also going to allow me the space and the time to think about, is this what I want to do for the next 20 years? And, I can pivot myself in the right direction. And maybe, what I do for a living is not what I'm going to do for a life. So, I have that flexibility, and it'll be it's on the, I don't want to say it's in the back of my mind. It's actually in the front of my mind. And so, as I go through my day-to-day process, I can, just keep it in mind that maybe this isn't what I want to do. Right. And I can move forward that way.
Yeah, you said something really beautiful there. I've actually never heard you say it that way. What I do for a living is not what I do for a life.
Yeah. Put that shit on
Yeah,
a t-shirt.
Put that shit on a t-shirt. Yeah, that's beautiful, babe. Like, wow, that's a breakthrough in itself, huh? For you. That's great.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. And I think that's really awesome. Like, what I so appreciate about you is that what I do or don't do for a living, or what I do or don't do for my day doesn't define how you see me. And it's such a beautiful gift that you have and that you've afforded me to just really appreciate people for how they treat you and how they are with you.
Right.
Yeah,
No, totally.
I love that. I mean, for those of you listening, what you need to know about Jordan and I is we made very specific schooling choices for our children well before anything that was going on. One of our older son loves hockey. He's quite competitive. He starts his day every day on the ice at the rink, exactly how I would want. Right now in my trunk, there are two things, actually three things in my trunk: a pair of figure skates, a yoga mat, and then a snow brush. I guess I'm foreshadowing the coming winter. But I love spending my time at the rink. I love starting my day with exercise. So that's how our older son spends his day. And then our younger son has been with the same small class in the Montessori education system for the last 3 years. So we've made some strategic choices for our schooling. So we're not dealing with the same choices that everyone else is dealing with right now. And I think that's really, beautiful. That's the opportunity that you've really afforded us, G, is like just the opportunity to make some choices aligned with what we want to do. And I don't know, like, do you have any tips? Because for some reason, even you and I have been able to hold a healthy relationship while spending more time together. If anything, spending more time together, I found, has really brought us closer. I mean, do you have any tips for the men out there or the partners out there?
Yeah, for all the partners, soulmates, co-workers, business partners, whatever it is, the biggest thing I'll say it, and this is something you've taught me directly, is that you can't be afraid to take risks and you can't be afraid to make mistakes. And, I was not always comfortable with sending our kids to, private schools or, different types of education, not always from a money perspective, sometimes just from a not understanding the system perspective. And, but we did it, and I'm glad we did it. And I would have hated to have to look back and think, oh, what if we didn't send our kids to this school, or what if we didn't try this type of system? And so, when you make decisions whether it's with your kids in your school or in your career or in your life in general, playing it safe is good, but it's boring. And, it doesn't allot you those chances that you might stumble onto something that you're really grateful for later on in your life. And so, yeah, I mean, just be afraid to make risks and, take risks and start with small risks, but, don't be afraid to try new things, really.
Oh, yes. And you tried a new thing by waking up earlier than usual and coming out for a run with me this morning, or a quick jog.
It started as a run.
I love that. Take risks. Don't be afraid of failure. And then what you do for work doesn't necessarily define what you do for life, for living.
Yeah. And, if you, I want to throw this in there. It takes two to tango, right? I mean, you got to have a good partner, and, kudos to you, P, for, anytime we've ever done anything in our lives, we've always done it together. And, even before our, -1 in our marriage, when you opened your business, we decided to do that together. And, we went through the ups and downs together. But when you have a solid partner, then you're comfortable with making mistakes or taking chances or taking risks. And they'll support you no matter how it turns out. And it doesn't always come up roses, but, if you do it together, it's worth it.
Yeah, I would agree completely. And you definitely have been not only a support for me, but what I love about what you do is you take in everyone around me as well. Um, and so, that's one of the things I feel so comfortable about with you, is that you're also committed to supporting others whether you know it or not. It's quite often, well, I'll just bring home a random person for dinner or live with us or anything. And I really appreciate that you play that game with me.
Yeah, that's a known fact. But yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, that's yeah, I mean, listen, you know what? That's a byproduct of my upbringing. And we were always people who wanted to help other people and, do what we could with what we had. And the world's a big place, and, we can't just hog our little spot and not make a difference. So, I mean, you need to be able to be open to new things and new people, and, waking up to families in your basement, whatever it is, right?
I love it. Tell me something, G. What are you wanting to bring forth out of COVID-19, like out of being in quarantine? What's something that you don't want to forget?
Connection with my family.
Mm,
It's very easy to go back to normal and forget what you created or what you had.
I love that. Connection, not being afraid to make mistakes, take risks, and then what you do for a living
Is
doesn't
not what
define
you
what
do
you
for
do,
life.
is not what you do for life. I love that. Huh. Who knew? All I had to do was interview you for a podcast to get some profound nuggets.
Oh, it's all in there, baby.
I love it. I mean, what you guys need to know about Gerard is that he is the most reliable and loyal individual I've ever met. And yeah, I'm so honored. I'm so blessed to be on this journey with you. And I'm so thankful that you didn't give up on me because I gave you lots of reasons too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And honestly, and I don't say that in jest. I mean, it takes a lot to get through the ups and downs of any business relationship, whatever it is. And these are the rewards of sticking it out.
Hmm. It's so funny, I think it's Seth Godin that has the book The Dip, and it really talks about things like the most successful businesses are willing to withstand the most challenging dips. And I would say the same thing for the relationships. I listen quite often to Rachel Hollis, and she just recently announced that she's separating from her husband of I think it was her high school sweetheart actually. And and she talks about the judgment that people are bestowing on her. And you know, I've seen a lot of other, quite frankly, Facebook and Instagram posts from friends of ours that are, that are now deciding to, to quote Gwyneth Paltrow, consciously uncouple. I don't know if you have any thoughts on what's sort of happening in the trending around um, partnership and what it looks like to move away from that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. It's everybody's their own individual, and it takes a special person. It takes a strong person to do it alone, and I'm not that individual. I'll be the first to say it, but yeah, that I think is just a byproduct of our lack of connection. That's a byproduct of people's faces and screens 24 hours a day. And, we just think we can do everything on our own. And, you know, we can to some extent, but do we want to is the question, or do you want to? And, life is a beautiful thing, and I want to share it with somebody, deeply. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's just a byproduct of, I think, the direction that our society is going in, and it's sad, and I hope it doesn't remain that way. And I think we need to get back to that level of connectivity and partnership with others.
Mm. Oh, well said. Well said. Well, I'm really glad that I get to partner with you. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'll let you have that one.
Well, thank you again, G, for joining us. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry that I didn't send you questions in advance, but this sort of really, what I wanted to do is give people the experience of sort of just a little bit of who we are, and this side hustle of Pivot Talks wouldn't be possible without you. You are my biggest cheerleader, my my best friend, my partner. You're the cream in my coffee and the ketchup on my French fries. So it wouldn't be complete without having you as a guest. So I love you. Thank you.
I'm great for content.
You're amazing for content. We'll have to talk to you after you go back to work post Labor Day and see if you really feel the same way.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for joining. This is Pivot Talks with PC, and you just got to listen to my Casho, my Gerard Caballero, my husband, my BFF, and my 16-1 guy. So thanks for joining, hon.
Thanks, babe. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.